Hello, I'm Toycat, and recently I went down a bit of a weird Minecraft research rabbit hole, and I wanted to share the results of that with all of you, because I didn't know until recently that the shortest block name in Minecraft is shared jointly between TNT and Ice, two pretty old Minecraft blocks that both have 3-letter names. As you can see right here, they're both very, very short, and if you look at most of the other short names for Minecraft blocks, they tend to be pretty old as well. I mean, this is the dirt block, the sand block, and the snow block, and even the 5-letter name for blocks are all pretty old as well, like grass, and stone and melon, and it made me realize that, you know, there is this really distinct difference between older blocks, which tend to have simpler names, and newer blocks, which tend to have longer, more complex ones. Let's take, for instance, the stone and the bricks, right? So stone and bricks, which are now renamed as brick blocks, you can combine those together, not actually how that works, but then you get the stone bricks, right? And you can understand why that's more complex than either of these combined. It's kind of like bricks, it's kind of like stone, so it's called the stone bricks. And obviously, if you are to chisel those stone bricks to make a cool pattern, you'd have chiseled stone bricks. And this is a pretty long title by itself, but what if you happen to have a silverfish inside of there? Perhaps you could call that the infested chiseled stone brick. This is 26 letters long with 3 spaces, making it 29 characters long, which was, until 1.16, the longest block name in all of Minecraft. It's insane to look at. I mean, look at it in my inventory right here. You can see how, like, it goes all the way across and then outside of the inventory zone. If it was in the top row, most right slot, you can see how it covers up the entire top row of the inventory. And the lucky thing was that, you know, in 1.14, this isn't obtainable in survival by default, so it wasn't a problem most survival players had to deal with. But in 1.16, they demolished the longest block names by adding 5 brand new super long block names, which mean, and all of those are obtainable in survival, meaning that Minecraft block names on average just got a lot longer. And because in 1.16, 9 of the 20 longest block names are obtainable in survival, I figured we'd talk about this not just from the user experience perspective, but also from the perspective of how Minecraft is adding longer and more complicated block names, and indeed you could argue blocks themselves. So let's do precisely that today, and let's mention exactly what these slightly longer blocks are, because the concept is actually quite simple to understand. The reason blocks are getting more complex is because we're adding more variations of them. I mean, for instance, the stone block comes in stone bricks, but also you can get those infested. Also, you could get just infested stone. You can see how the different combinations start to add more complexity, and that literally just one type of block becomes 2 types of blocks, becomes 6 types of blocks very quickly. I guess if you add the original stone in there, it's 7 types of blocks, but still, you get a lot of block types very quickly in Minecraft as a result of all the variations you get. But if we take a look at the Nether update, we start to realize that this update is made up mostly of variations on existing features. It does have the largest number of new blocks of any Minecraft update for a very long time, but the way it achieves that is by adding a lot of variations on existing features. There are 2 brand new types of wood, which admittedly they don't catch on fire, so they've got that going for them. Also, you can't craft them into everything. You can't use them for charcoal, a few things like that. But for most Minecraft players, the fact that we have a brand new button, or the fact that we have a brand new pressure plate, for instance, is kind of cool. But to explain that new pressure plate, it's a crimson pressure plate. The pressure plate is the item, then the crimson is the variation of it, and this is like 1 layer of complexity deep, right? But when you also add a brand new block to the game, and you add that brand new block as something that you can take by itself, in this case the Blackstone, as you can see there's a lot of it around, but then you can take that Blackstone, and if you want to, you can polish it up. You can get a polished Blackstone block. So this is, again, adding a little bit of complexity to something. But what if you could combine some of your polished Blackstone together to make some polished Blackstone bricks? Well, then you've got yourself a pretty unwieldy title, and bearing in mind that Minecraft is being very big on adding slabs, stairs, and fences to everything in Minecraft, that means that you get yourself, as you can see here, the logical progression of Blackstone into polished Blackstone, into polished Blackstone bricks, into the polished Blackstone brick wall, which is already, shared the longest title in Minecraft, 29 characters long. It's super ridiculous. Same with the polished Blackstone brick slab, and then that's defeated even by the polished Blackstone brick stairs. Now, the polished Blackstone brick stairs are a super interesting item, not just because they're 30 characters long, and you can see how it takes up pretty much the entire hotbar just to display it down there, but it's also interesting because this is Minecraft doing something that we as players cannot. If you want to rename any item in Minecraft, which you can do if you want to, here is my warped fence gate that I'm going to rename into warped fence gate, and then a bunch of characters. As you can see, I run out of characters when I hit 29, because until now, that was the longest any Minecraft item could be. But if we take the polished Blackstone brick stairs and we remove the S and we try to put it back in, we physically cannot do so. The longest you can name an item is polished Blackstone brick stair, which, I mean, you could argue is the correct term for just a single one of these. But if you want to rename that back to stairs once you've named it, you physically cannot do so. That is the crazy world we live in, where a Minecraft item has a longer name, by default in the game than we can give it it, no matter how hard we try. Maybe you find that cool, maybe you find that wacky, but what I find real wacky is the fact that if you take this Blackstone brick, it has all of the variants which you need from it, but then also you can find it in a cracked version, which is the cracked polished Blackstone bricks. In case you're curious as to the length of this title, it is 33 characters long. It's longer than my hotbar, and it's so long in fact that if you wanted to rename something like this, you can't just remove 1 character, 2 characters, or 3 characters, but as you can see, you go down to br before you can, I should say, before you can start typing things again. Yeah, this means the longest you can really call something naturally is polished Blackstone, cracked polished Blackstone. The bricks would be entirely unnecessary. And it also means that if you want to have a length of a name anywhere between 30 and 33 characters, the only way to do so is by taking this block and removing that. That's right, this block name can only be found, again, at least right now, the current limitations, by taking your cracked polished Blackstone bricks and removing the names. You can't type this in manually yourself, which is just a bit of a weird bug, I guess, I'm mentioning, because the bigger point we're making here is not about how, like, oh yeah, isn't it wacky how Minecraft blocks are getting longer? But what is much more interesting to see here is the levels of abstraction Minecraft is adding for every individual block. The level of complexity, we could perhaps argue, is getting much, much more, because again, adding a brand new block to the game in the form of Blackstone, which is a genuinely new addition, I would say, makes sense by itself, but then when you add polished Blackstone, you're like, it's a brand new block. Again, for new players, it functionally is. It's a very smooth, blackish, grayish texture, unlike one we've had before, but then we can turn it into bricks if we really want to, and then you can't actually make these, as best I know right now. What you have to do as of current betas is you have to find these naturally in the world. You can find some cracked versions, because what if you have bricks that have been there a real long time, as admittedly is the case with Piglin Bastions, but it means that when you're trying to work the blocks that you have, the layers that build up something like the cracked polished Blackstone bricks are kind of complex, and it's not, this isn't a bad naming for a block. I would argue that the polished part is unnecessary. Maybe the bricks part already clarifies that it was polished at one point, but what this does kind of say to me, the much more interesting thing that it is mentioning, is the fact that Minecraft block names are getting significantly, more, layered down there than we've seen in the past. In fact, if you look at the longest block names, like I said, 9 of the 20 longest blocks came in with, the 1.16 update. But if we take a look at the ones that didn't, you can see how this comes down to that same thing. We're like, oh yeah, do you know the terracotta block in Minecraft? Do you know how you can take that and you can make it glazed terracotta? Do you know how that then comes in a bunch of colors? And you know how Minecraft dyes aren't just the base primary colors. You can also get light blue, light gray, and all these sorts of colors for your glazed terracotta. But what it does signify to me is that Minecraft block names are getting longer and they're getting more complex. This is factually backed up by the data, and it's also backed up by if you look at the actual individual blocks coming in a given update. I mean, if we take a look at the Nether update and we really start to examine, it's like, okay, we've got ourselves a soul soil block. This is kind of genuinely brand new, and you can light that on fire to make soul fire. Is this brand new or is it blue fire? You be the judge. But the thing that we definitely could all agree is that really the soul lantern, the soul torch, and the soul campfire are just variants of existing block. It's an existing block that goes blue. How many people want a campfire that's blue instead of red? I mean, it's not 0, but it's not a very high number either. If we look at take a look at the warp planks and the crimson planks, these are actually kind of cool. They're a Nether form of wood. They make sense in their survival purpose, but in terms of their actual addition to the game, it's in reality, it's more like, oh yeah, it's a new type of Oh yeah, you can stand on this and make that activate. It's a new type of stair and slab, and it's a new type of button and pressure plate and everything in between, fence gates even, as you saw earlier. There are lots of brand new variants of blocks, but the total brand new blocks themselves are remaining fairly low. I mean, you could argue that Nilium is sort of new. You could argue that Basalt is a new block by itself. You could argue Soul Soil, although again, even then it feels a bit like Soul Sand, and Blackstone itself is, but after you go beyond these 4 blocks, with Ancient Debris making up kind of a 5th one, let's say, you have a huge number of new blocks in this update, which just stems straight from those, with Ancient Debris obviously turning into Netherite, blocks and all the things that come from there, with obviously the Soil turning into all of these things. Blackstone turns into these 5 blocks, and all of the slabs, stairs, and variants that come with each of those. As you can see, the way the Nether is really kind of evolving is into a world with lots of block variants, and part of this makes sense on the level of, oh yeah, the Nether needs to be updated, it needs block variants, so it's not just the same 5 blocks. And the other part of why this is happening now and not before, why is the Nether update adding so many of these blocks when 1.8 or 1.7 did not? The biggest reason is they got rid of the limit on the number of blocks they can add to Minecraft, and as a result of that, they can add as many blocks as they like now, and you really started to see them take advantage of this in the World of Color update, where, again, the glazed terracottas and the concrete powders and the number of blocks they added in that update and the number of names they had, they just took advantage of the fact that they had no limit anymore to add so many colored blocks, and now they're doing effectively the same thing with this update, and will likely continue to do so in future updates, because it's not just these things, the recognizable things you'll find in the Nether exclusively. It's also the fact that Nether brick now goes into the chiseled Nether brick blocks. The quartz can turn into quartz bricks. There are so many versions of blocks that are just minor variations. The rarest block in this update, gilded Blackstone, you find only a few dozen, 100 or so in like a any given bastion monument. This block right here is kind of just Blackstone with some gold specks in, and this is the kind of direction they're taking because they can right now, and it's not really ever a massively bad thing, but what it does instead indicate is that if this is what most of Minecraft blocks are going to be, is Minecraft running out of ideas? Because think about it, what was the last genuinely new exciting block that had a brand new function that could be used in so many ways non-visually? I would argue it was the honey block. I would argue the honey block, was like a kind of brand new item. Allows you to do new things. I mean, look at this behavior right here. This is not something you've seen before, right? There's a lot of things about the honey block that are new and interesting, but it basically got an entire Minecraft update to itself. It was not a hugely popular Minecraft update. I mean, everyone loves bees and bees are cute and stuff, but like, did it change your life? Did that update change how you play Minecraft? Or did you think to yourself, this is cool, but where is the Nether update? The truth is, a big part of Minecraft updates is having the variety inside of them, being able to find Nilium, even if it's not the biggest of deals, being able to find a new type of tree, a new type of grass even. Look at this thing, like, is the Crimson Roots cool to you? I don't know, but they exist. Being able to find these basalt pillars, which shouldn't be in this biome, but that's a story for the new biomes versus the Nether video, something I am going to be working on, but because there's a lot of weird things happening when you update existing worlds to the Nether update. Pro tip, that'll be coming soon. But as far as like if you want to introduce a brand new dimension, which they effectively are doing, they're revamping the Nether entirely, you need to add a lot of new things, and that's why even though there aren't a huge number of inspired blocks here, the truth is, even though they are running low on ideas of brand new, super revolutionary items, I mean, variants of woods, variants of soul sand, just a new block that generates some big pillars, like all these blocks by themselves don't really tell you too much. Even Nilium is a lot like mycelium, right, from the mushroom biomes in the Overworld. So, what does this tell us about Minecraft? Does it tell us they ran out of ideas? Obviously, you can take that peek, and I would say to some extent, like, if you do have a whole new dimension, taking advantage of it to do something genuinely new, as opposed to lots of reskins of existing stuff, like, even the glowberry, I forget its actual name, honestly. Even these brand new glowstone blocks, shroom lights, I think they are. Even these brand new blocks right here, they're cool. They've got a long name, by the way, but they just, it's a new way to do glowstone that is renewable and growable. The reality is most of the things in this update don't hugely change your behavior in terms of the blocks themselves and making your own contraptions. For the Nether update, instead of focusing on making more things for you, the player, to work with, instead this update seems to focus on creating a new world for you to interact with directly. I mean, Nether Goldor, it's not a pretty block that you want to find and take and build things with most of the time, but it is a great thing to find out there in the wild. Same with ancient debris, if we can find some of that. I mean, we're not going to in this video, but same with the soul soil blocks. Again, a brand new block that is existing here in the Nether and has its whole own biome, which, by the way, with a brand new enchantment you can cross. This update is less focused on allowing you to update your world, so that gives you blocks if you want to do so visually, but instead gives you a whole new world to explore, because they're focusing on the exploration aspect of Minecraft in this. If you see every Minecraft as being singularly focused on how many new blocks can I add to my Minecraft world, this one is a failure if you don't want to do just visual things. If you like visual things, great update. Most new blocks in an update ever. If you want to do functional things, it's a failure. But what you got to realize is I think Minecraft, although they're taking huge swaths with every update, they are tending to try to focus on at least one big theme per update, and the Nether is not a dimension that was really ever about building. Some people build things here, yes, that is definitely a fact. But when you build in the Nether, you're building in this very hostile place. You know, it's not the safe place that you build. It's a place you build because of the danger. And by adding to that danger, by adding complexities to it, by adding reasons to explore and to find all of the new things, because the old Nether was just one big Nether waste biome. The new Nether is lots of different biomes that contain different blocks in different places, different threat levels, different mobs in each biome even. You know, the Crimson Forest being filled much more with hoglins and piglins. This update is much more about the aspect of adventure and about survival to some extent, and I think that's kind of beautiful that they managed to make an update focused on all of that, while also by taking 2 new types of wood, by taking all this new shrubbery, by even taking the Nilium, by taking all these things and combining them together. What they've actually made themselves is an update which doesn't just focus on those things, but also gives a great experience to creative players at the same time. Always with an update, there's going to be someone who wishes they focused on something else. Personally, I wish they'd updated caves and added those to the Nether, huh? Where's my Nether cave update, huh? But obviously, there are going to be some people who are disappointed anyway, regardless. But in terms of the the Nether update as a whole, it looks like a very exciting update because it takes a part of the game, it focuses on it, and it does a good job at that area that it's focusing on. And that's why in the coming weeks, when the Nether update does come out, I'm going to be very excited to play it, because the kind of challenge is not so much in how many new contraptions are going to be buildable. Not too many in the overworld, you can't take many blocks back with you, but how many things are going to be possible by taking a specific biome, using its things to your advantage, like, again, the soul sand valleys, making these super straight and bringing soul speed in here, super fast across. Or what if you take the soul sand or the soul soil from the soul sand valley and you bring it to a part of your world, and you can link portals much faster with that. That's something I love the idea of. This update is about playing around with the Nether as a dimension, and they use a lot of overworld mechanics because they're trying to make the Nether more like the overworld, in the sense that there are reasons to explore, reasons to play, reasons to build. That's how I see it, at least. Maybe you see it as it's a, this is a lazy update in some way. That's a totally fine opinion too. But the way I see this update is as one that is very strongly focused on one purpose, that happens to do a lot of other stuff kind of impressively at the same time. So yeah, this is, the Nether update, surprisingly enough, is mostly focused on the Nether. That shouldn't be a big shock, but to some people, it does seem to be. But yeah, personally, I think it's a great update, but something they need to work on entirely, I realize as part of this video, is we need to stop having names as long as this. I mean, when you have a name that is that long and that hard to say, the polished Blackstone pressure plate, you've got to realize that, turns out names are getting real long. If it's so long that you can't even physically type the name in, to a thing yourself, even if you want to, that's a sign that either Minecraft blocks can all be longer. Maybe they should get shorter names. Maybe, for instance, the polished Blackstone bit doesn't need to be there. If there's no regular Blackstone pressure plate, which there isn't, by the way, maybe it can just be the the Blackstone pressure plate. I don't know, there's lots of ways you can take this, I guess. Maybe the polished is a key thing of the detail. Maybe you could, shorten things down. Like, okay, so pressure plate can just become PP. Oh wait, I see the issue of that. But you know what I don't see the issue with? You enjoying this video and hopefully deciding to get your hands on some cracked polished Blackstone bricks. Because again, playing around with these in regular Minecraft, they just have this absurdity to them, like literally covering my entire inventory if I so want to. It's a cool ability that I personally like, and maybe you do too. Or maybe you hate everything about this video and you only watched all this way because you want to leave a scathing comment down below about how awful it is to you. And in that case, I say, thank you for watching. Please do let me know about your comments. And also, consider subscribing if you're new around here, because there's lots of weird things that, I realized while diving into this one. One of those is, did you know that Blackstone looks like this, whereas 2 Blackstone slabs looks like this? I think for the first time in Minecraft, we have 2 blocks that look very different depending on whether it's slab-based or whether it's thing-based. Obviously they've looked different before, but they are pretty much different blocks at this point, right? You can legitimately see the line where it's slabs versus where it's blocks themselves, or at least I can see the line. Can you see it? Do you think that's cool? Do you think that's weird? That's my question of the day. Can you do question of the day if it's the first time you're asking a question and calling it question of the day? I guess we can, starting right now, because that's okay. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.